Most people in the West underestimate Asia. They feel that just because most loud people are Westerners, like Americans or Europeans, Asia is less important. But I can assure you that Asia is a lot more important for the world economy than most people realize. And I can assure you that during the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, Asia will become an even bigger part of the world economy, and truly understanding Asia will be an even bigger part of truly understanding the markets. People living here in these buildings in Saigon, they have good jobs, they are driving nice cars, their kids go to good schools. These are people with money, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of them. Nice cars, or rather, nice motorcycles. Nice motorcycles.
Hey, Anders! Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Fantastic!
Long time.
You got some uranium. There's not many people that I actually listen to, but here we have one of them, real expert on commodities that I found in the dark alleys of Asia.
That is a dubious introduction, Anders, but now listen, great to spend some time together. I think it has been about 4 years since you and I were together in Hanoi, in fact. Since then, been moving around quite a bit. Now I'm living in Ho Chi Minh. Been really focused on various investments over the last couple of years. And given the current situation which we have with the world economies, not only on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, which in fact you and I were active in since 2017, but also very much in commodities, uranium, oil, gas, wheat, and other related commodities, gold, silver, you name it, just from a really diversification perspective as compared to only being invested in cryptocurrencies.
Closer together. It's like, looks better when sitting unnaturally close.
Let me show you something which I learned in the dark streets.
I'm joking around here, but I've known Mark Coops for 11 years. We've worked side by side, and he's one of the highest performing individuals I've ever met anywhere in the world. So I suggest to pay attention to his analysis. I do. This is the caliber people that we're bringing into this community. That's one way to excel. Surround yourself with the brightest people. Success isn't an event, it's a continuous process. In the markets as well as in other areas of life. But why commodities? Why not just focus on, say, Bitcoin or tech stocks?
First of all, what do I like about Bitcoin? Let's start with that. I started investing in 2000, about 20 years ago already. I started in the stock market, and in fact that was initially quite a disaster. Not knowing proper strategies, not knowing about cycles, not knowing about technical analysis, even not being very much aware of different areas of investments. And over that period of time, I went from investing in the stock market to investing in oil wells in Central America. From there on, I went into investing into properties, real estate in different countries. And then I went into Bitcoin. And one of the things which I liked about Bitcoin was the volatility. That type of volatility you typically don't see and don't have in the stock market, right? Things are going up or down, but fractions of a percentage point. Yes, over a longer time frame, 10, 20, 30 years. And Amazon, Tesla, Facebook are good examples of companies where the stock has increased quite tremendously. But again, still not as volatile as we have seen with Bitcoin and other altcoins. So I started looking around in terms of what other investments are there which have a high level of volatility, but again, which are more focused on probabilities versus possibilities. And that then struck me as it relates to commodities. In 2018 and early 2019, I got involved in uranium. I heard about uranium. I did my research in terms of the uranium market, what was happening in Japan, what was happening globally, how does the market work. And ultimately, I realized that the volatility which you see with Bitcoin and altcoins does happen in some of these stocks within the stock market, and uranium being a good example of that. And so that started to attract me, together again with the situation where commodities basically go through cycles, a cycle where there is a higher demand, and due to the higher demand and a limited amount of the commodity available which needs to be mined, ultimately prices going up, till that increase of price basically justifies additional investments and thereby mining of those commodities, which ultimately then leads over time to a surplus in the commodity and thereby again a downturn in prices. And that cycle continues and repeats itself. Now, the last upswing of uranium happened in the early 2000s. 2004, 5, 6 with Fukushima, and obviously any nuclear disaster results automatically in a reduction of the use of uranium because nuclear reactors and power plants are being shut down, and thereby it goes into that downturn. So after Fukushima we went into a downturn, and currently over the last couple of years that has turned around. Not only has uranium been coined green energy, while we can have long discussions about the viability of green energy in the terms of solar energy, in the terms of wind energy, you name it. Uranium is a very clean form of energy where you don't have any carbon emissions. There's a lot of development of nuclear reactors, also SMR, small modular reactors, and very, very few companies which are in fact active in the uranium market. I think currently about 45 companies which are active. I'm first and foremost interested in buying the best companies where the risk is the lowest, risk in terms of companies either going bankrupt or not finding the deposits they are looking for, if we're talking about explorers.
So you can take a sip. So what companies are you looking at specifically?
First, in terms of the large companies like Cameco, really the number one company together with Kazatomprom. They also offer dividends, which is very important from a growth in a portfolio perspective. Especially in the current economic climate and behavior of the stock market, get already a return based on the dividends, let's say minor profit, so to speak. In terms of smaller caps, companies like Deep Yellow, Denison, NuScale, Lotus Resources, and of course the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. From a risk-reward perspective, I would say the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is a core holding. Companies like Cameco, Kazatomprom, you name them. And then again, when looking into explorers and more riskier investments, companies like Deep Yellow, companies like Paladin, companies like Lotus, etc.
So Mark here is really the expert that I am looking to when it comes to commodities in general and uranium commodities in particular.
Yeah, maybe to add a couple of points. I mean, uranium is one part of a much broader energy market. I'm very much focused on the energy market because in times of inflation, energy is one of the investments where you can keep up, if not outperform the inflation. Energy obviously is translated into everything you purchase or you need or you acquire, whether it is power at home, whether it's the fuel for your car, or whether it is ultimately translated into fertilizer, which is used to fertilize the soil for all the fruit and vegetables which we consume. So again, the energy is the core and the foundation, and nuclear power is just one small piece of that. The oil and gas industry, I believe, is going to continue to perform tremendously well over the next couple of years, and if we look at it longer term, I believe that oil and gas will not even in the next 10 years see their peak. I think the demand for oil and gas is going to continue growing far into or past 2030. Natural gas, solar, wind energy, all of that will also be part of the mix. But given the amount of core products which are required for building solar panels and the amount of wind turbines which are required to generate some wind energy, I think those technologies are not viable in countries which has been demonstrated, in fact, like Germany and Northern Western Europe. Wind energy could be, but again, based on the scale, I think it's also not a viable technology. And so we are very reliant and heavily reliant still on coal, on wood, on oil.
And nuclear energy.
And nuclear energy, right. That is correct. Yeah. Gold and silver, for me, have two investment objectives. First of all, they provide a level of liquidity, where if for whatever reason I need cash at a certain point in time immediately, I can always liquidate those gold and silver holdings. But most important of all, gold and silver do over time also protect you and protect your purchasing power from things like inflation.
I'm learning a lot from Mark, and I think you are as well. What do you say? Should we bring him on the channel sometimes? Would you like to come on the channel?
Yeah, that would be fantastic, Anders. I mean, first of all, again, I am also very much still active with Bitcoin. I enjoyed a couple of weeks ago, in fact, when...
Go to cycles.
I have also started to slowly but surely tiptoe back into Bitcoin. I believe from a medium to long term perspective that is really one of the areas to be invested in. But then again, I'm also looking to broaden and diversify and have investments which generate returns, A, through dividends, B, because they are cash equivalents, or C, because they tend to keep up or exceed the returns as compared to inflation over the medium to long term. And when I talk about medium to long term, I'm talking about 3 to 5 year time. I believe we are in the very early innings of a commodities bull market, and the charts show that, and I'll share some charts on that with you as well, Anders. You want to be diversified, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and bet on one horse, and make sure that you have a strategy in place. I have been working a very long time on a strategy which I am comfortable with. And I'm still not there. I'm still working on it. It's still work in progress. But at least what I have concluded from my own perspective are what are the different areas which I want to be invested in. In each of those investment areas, what are the stocks, in other words, the companies which I want to own a piece of, and why do I want to own a piece of them? And that gives me a great level of comfort. In the last 4 years, I have seen my uranium portfolio go up by 400%, but also drop by 50%. And that level of volatility I am comfortable with on the basis of knowing the companies I am investing in.
But I mean, volatility is a good thing.
Yes.
That is an opportunity for us as investors.
No, correct. And that's why I'm saying I have been looking for the longest time for that level of volatility in the stock market as an alternative to cryptocurrencies.
Now, Mark and I are going to have a few drinks. They don't dare to deliver mine, I think, until we stop the interview over here. Thank you, tack. City och Larsson out. Hej då.